All right, welcome to another episode of Standing on Business, where we are always standing on business. I am your host, Delvin Joyce, the People's Choice. I am joined, as always, by my guy, Amani, well-dressed Toomer, who is also standing on business. What's going on, Amani?
Oh, nothing much, man. I'm really excited about this show. Got a lot of good topics, and I still think, Delvin, we got to go the People's Choice, Delvin Joyce. We're going to go about that week after week because it just anyway. But let's move on. Let's move forward. There's a lot of good things that we have to talk about today.
Yeah.
Let's just jump right in.
How are you feeling, by the way? Like, are you snowed in New Jersey? Because right now in North Carolina, bro, we got maybe the most snow I've ever seen in my life in Charlotte, North Carolina.
We got that much snow last week. And usually in the Northeast, the snow doesn't last, but there's mountains of snow everywhere. It reminds me a lot of when I went to college in Michigan, where the snow started in late November, and it just stuck around all the way till April. I mean, you couldn't see any grass fields, you couldn't see anything. There was just snow for 6-7 months all year, all that winter long. So that's why I like the Northeast, is because it'll snow, but then the snow would go away. Now they got snow everywhere, and it's not good to try it for your mood. Walking outside, seeing snow, and then the snow. First, it's nice, but then as the snow gets dirty, it just starts getting muddy. It's just not the same.
But before we get cracking here, hey, listen, if you are watching Standing on Business, make sure you are locked in with us. If you are watching this on YouTube, please like the video and drop us a comment. And we also want to get into the comments with you and just have some dialogue around some of the topics that we talk about. So make sure you do that. Also, hit the subscribe button to make sure you never miss an episode of Standing on Business. And if you're rocking with us on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, make sure you like, subscribe, follow, and share it, because it's going to help other people find our podcast. So, Amani, as we talk about the snow, man, I want to go to, again, a nice warm place. This weekend, of course, I watched the Farmers Open Golf Championship out in Torrey Pines in San Diego. And, man, I'm just going to tell you, bro, I am, like, longing for warm weather. But there was a big story out there at the Farmers Championship that is very relevant to us and Standing on Business, and it was the return of Brooks Kopeka to the PGA Tour. Now, Amani, are you a golf fan?
I am not a golf fan, but I am a fan of the business of sports. And I did, through my research, I just find that I have more questions than answers. I know a lot about the LIV Tour. I know about the PGA Tour. I know about the Saudi Arabia fund that tried to basically buy all of the best players in the world and send them over to this LIV Tour and guaranteed them astronomical amounts of money.
Ridiculous dough.
And so, and I know Brooks Kopeka, who was a guy who took the money. These were 4-year contracts, right?
Yeah, I think they were basically 4-year contracts, and Brooks' contract started I think he joined the LIV Tour in 2022, so it was supposed to run through this season, 2026. Do you even play golf, Amani? I don't think you and I have ever played golf together. I
do play golf, not very well. I enjoy playing golf with people who just like to go out and have fun. Like, I hate going out there playing with the guys that are like, you hit the ball and then it moves a little bit. You put it back on the tee. That's a stroke. That's a stroke. I mean, bro, none of us are going to the tour.
So you
just want to have some fun.
So you hate playing with guys that play by the rules. I get it. Yeah, that's
not play by the rules. That's different. There's playing by the rules, and then there's playing the letter of the law.
Yeah.
I play by the rules because, I mean, who are you really cheating when you're playing golf but yourself?
Yeah.
But when you're trying to make every single, you can't move that piece of grass away because that's a stroke. Come on, man. You're just trying to play and have fun.
I'm somewhere in between, man. Like I suck at golf. Like I'm like a 10.4 handicap index, which isn't great, but it isn't terrible. But so I always tell people,
I don't even know what handicap index means, man.
yeah, so you're not really a golfer, but suffice it to say that I am good enough to get pissed off on the golf course when I play bad, but I'm bad enough for it really not to matter. You know what I'm saying? Like
Hmm.
I'm not competitive, right? But I'm but
Hmm.
I'm but I'm good enough to get mad at myself for playing bad. So
Hmm.
anyway, and you grew up in California, and as I was thinking about this tournament this week, you and Tiger are like contemporaries, bro. Like Tiger is the same age as you essentially, and you guys grew up in California, and you were there at the same time, right?
Yeah, but I've heard Tiger Woods stories ever since I was in high school. So I've
Yeah,
heard about him. I just
yeah.
didn't know. First of all, before Tiger Woods, nobody cared about none of my friends I didn't cared about golf. I went to a De La Salle High School in Concord, California, where a lot of people played a lot of golf. In other words, there was a lot of white people where I went to high school. And so and so a lot of country club kids, not just white people, country club white kids. And they would just I remember I had a friend of mine named Matt McCory, and all he would do is talk about how great Tiger Woods is.
Did anybody else know this at the time, or was this like California secret? I mean, or if you weren't a golfer, you wouldn't know. Like, or was
I
he
think it
like
was a
nationally
California thing.
renowned then?
Yeah, it was a California
Yeah,
thing
yeah, yeah.
because, he'd get kicked off of golf courses and all this stuff. And my friend would tell me about it. And then, I just kind of, when you hear a name like Tiger, you just don't forget it.
Yeah.
And talking about golf, and then he was a black player back then. I don't know what he is now, African Asian or whatever he is now, but he was black back then because they was kicking his butt off the courses. So I heard a lot about him.
But here's what I think about Tiger, right? Because Tiger created such a lane for so many other players to have access and also interest in the sport of golf who otherwise would not have had interest in golf. Like I started playing golf 1000% because of Tiger Woods. Like if there was no Tiger Woods, I'd still be playing basketball right now as a 47-year-old and blowing out Achilles tendons, right?
Yeah.
And I think where the PGA Tour has struggled, especially with the Live Tour, coming in as a disruptor and
Hmm.
essentially taking a lot of the better players from the PGA Tour over to Live. I mean, I think a lot of people have kind of lost interest in golf, especially when you compound the idea that Tiger is no longer relevant really in tournament
No.
golf on the PGA Tour.
Hmm.
And then you got this weird thing, this Live Tour, where I don't even know how to watch a match on the Live Tour. Like, do I have to have some special streaming service? I've never watched a match on Live. Right? Have you ever watched a Live Tour match?
I haven't watched a PGA match. So, I mean, last time I watched a PGA match, Tiger was wearing red on Sunday and he was getting ready to win. As soon as Tiger
Yeah.
started losing, I'm just like, I just can't relate to any of these guys. I can't relate to these country club kids and and the amount of people in this world that actually are in position because they played the game for as long as required to be good is so few that when I watch golf, I'm like, are these really the best golfers in the world? Or are they just the people that have access to this as a young child, develop these skills, and because they've developed these skills over and over a year, I mean, this is just how I think.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. As a
So
kid who grew up in Berkeley, California, keep talking, Amani. Keep talking.
what do you mean about what are you talking about? I grew up right by a golf course.
Yeah, that's what I
It
mean. You
didn't
were
mean
from,
I had any interest in doing it. Actually, my story is the
but you had
first time I
access.
ever was that?
You had access, though.
No.
Okay.
I mean, there's a lot of brothers that grow up by golf courses that don't go on the courses.
Okay. Yeah, yeah, yeah. No doubt.
All I'm saying is that, it's it's like some of these sports that are so, um, people are just priced out of it from the beginning, from
Yeah.
birth,
Yeah,
that
yeah,
you
yeah.
don't know if they're the best. Like I think the best sports are the sports that are like running. because anybody can run. So everybody knows whether you're a good runner or not very, very quickly.
You need
You
no
know what I mean?
equipment.
No equipment, no nothing.
You can run
And
barefoot.
a lot of
Yeah.
people do. Some of the fastest people in the world are running barefoot.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
and so that's when I'm kind of like, okay, I don't know what I'm watching. Even like hockey, like I don't know what I'm watching because the majority of the world's parents aren't going to get them up early in the morning to get these ice times at these crazy hours. And how many places do even have ice? You know what I mean? Around the world. So it's
Yeah.
like the pool is so small that I'm like, I don't know what I'm watching. But
Yeah.
all respect due to golfers, respect
Yeah.
to hockey players, respect to like some of these really integral sports. Like that's why soccer is so amazing because these people, they everybody's kicked a soccer, whether
Yeah. Yeah.
a little bit or a lot. So that's kind of why way I look at sports. Even
Yeah.
football, some areas it's like, you know, they have a lot to do to supplement and get people into to football to where there is no barrier with pads and
Right.
all that stuff, but still there's some type of barrier.
Yeah,
Um,
I'm gonna defend golf, man. Golf is really really hard, man. And these guys, I mean, I would say that a lot of the guys that are on the PGA Tour, which if you really look at them, a lot of them, maybe some of them grew up in country clubs, but a lot of them, like I think the Brooks Kepkas of the world, kind of grew up adjacent to that, right?
mm,
Looking at all the golf courses, because the kid grew up in Palm Beach didn't necessarily mean that he had access to some of these golf courses. And so I just think that, the PGA Tour does give rise to some players who didn't necessarily have the access and all the opportunities. And then they used whatever opportunities they had to really create a skill that's paying them ridiculous money right now. So I do respect.
ridiculous.
And in fact, and again, Netflix hasn't reached out to sponsor Standing on Business podcast, but I will give a shout out to the Netflix show Full Swing. Like if you watch that show, it really gives you some insight into a lot of these players
Mhm.
because not a lot of them came from, I think, that privileged background that we assume a professional golfer came from, right?
I would love to hear more stories like that. I
You
would
should
love
watch
to.
Full Swing, bro. Watch, watch.
I am going to watch it
Yeah.
because just because of what you're saying, because I just don't have any reference
Yeah. Yeah.
to
Yeah.
because the only people that I know that have played golf are country club kids. And
Well,
maybe I'm completely wrong. Maybe that's just my bias, but I that's just
yeah.
my whatever.
Yeah, you do. You got a football, you got NFL bias. But here's the interesting thing about this Brooks Koepka story, right? Because remember, the Live Golf Tour is financially backed by the Public Investment Fund, which, as you know, is the sovereign wealth fund of Saudi Arabia. So these people got like ridiculous, stupid money.
Last I checked, it was 700 or 800 billion dollars.
Yeah,
So
that's
basically, if they
yeah,
really wanted to, they could buy the NFL, the NBA, and
yeah,
just run all the American sports. They're on their way of buying a lot of the uh, Europe EPL league.
yeah.
They're not playing around,
They're not
and they
playing
want to
around, bro.
control sports, and they could because they have the money to. And it's funny because it's like this is what the West used to do to the rest of the world. Now the Middle East is doing it to us in
Yeah,
terms of just using the almighty dollar
yeah.
to kind of run whatever they want to run.
Well, it's interesting you say that because I think when you think about what they've done and how they've done it, right? Obviously, they make a lot of their money with oil. And you think about what's going on in college football and the Upstart program this past season, who essentially did a public investment fund type of thing with their football program. And I'm talking about Texas Tech. I mean,
Oh yeah,
Texas Tech with oil money essentially bought themselves a roster. And it's funny we're talking about the Saudi, the sovereign wealth fund of Saudi Arabia, because a lot of people are saying, hey, the Saudis should like support a G5 football program and see if they could buy a freaking national championship run. I think that would be amazing. And by the way, I have a great G5 program for them to sponsor.
Let me see. Just start with a J.
It definitely starts with
JMU,
you
James
damn
Madison University. That'd be
you,
great. That
you
would
damn right.
honestly be great.
you know it would be great if they would have already done that to Indiana because they
Yeah.
came out of nowhere.
So when you think about this deal that Brooks Koepka left the PGA Tour for, right? He
Yes,
left in June of 2022, and
yes,
he signed for $100 million signing bonus from the
yes, yes,
Saudis.
he did.
They gave him $100 million. Who's saying no to that, by the way? He doesn't have to win anything. He doesn't have to compete in a tournament. It's literally $100 million bag just to leave the PGA Tour. You know how much he had made on the PGA Tour up to that point, by the way, in 7 years of being a professional on
Wasn't it like
tour?
$10 million, something like that?
30 million bucks.
Okay.
And that's 30 million. I mean, 30 million is nothing to sneeze at, but he had to go out and compete and win tournaments for that 30 million. The Saudis wrote him a check for 100 million just to show up. Right.
Now, this is my understanding from the research I've done. Now, does that mean so for him to come back, first of all, I know that they were banned altogether. You leave, you're done. You're never coming back, right?
Yeah.
So then they went from you had to play in 3 tournaments. Is that 3 tournaments a month or 3 tournaments a year? Like, how was it? I was confused about that.
On the Live Tour?
Yeah, on the Live Tour.
Well, I think they all play in all the tournaments, but there's like a really small schedule of tournaments. It's not like a full wraparound season on the PGA Tour. And they only play 3 rounds of golf instead of in a tournament versus the PGA Tour, you play 4 rounds. So it's like Friday to Sunday instead of PGA Tour, it's Thursday to Sunday. So there's less rounds. There's less people you're competing against. There's bigger purses, and everybody makes the cut. So everybody on the Live Tour plays all 3 rounds. And oh, by the way, if this is important to you, you get to wear shorts. On the PGA Tour, you have to wear pants. It's mandatory. On the Live Tour, you get to wear shorts. They listen to music. The crowd gets loud. Like, it's like literally like a WWE style version.
It's like the Waste Management Tour, right? Like, I know Waste Management, they go ill. Like, it's crazy on that thing down in Arizona.
And that's coming up this week, right? We call it the Wasted Management tournament because everybody there is wasted. But to your point, though, Amani, it is no small feat for Brooks Koepka to make his way back to the PGA Tour because there is an ongoing feud between the PGA and Live. They are not friends, right?
Yeah.
And a lot of it stems from the fact that the players on the PGA Tour sued the PGA Tour for antitrust violation so that they could move to the Live Tour. And again, you got to think about how much bad blood there is when I don't know if you know the golfer Wesley Bryan. He's also a golf influencer, right? He makes a lot of social media content. They banned him from ever coming back to the PGA Tour as of right now, just because he played in like a Live adjacent sponsored event. Like it wasn't even a tournament. It was like a freaking almost an appearance at a tournament, and they just banned him. They took his PGA Tour card. So for Brooks Koepka to be able to make his way back, I think is phenomenal.
Phenomenal for who?
Phenomenal in the sense that, and I don't mean phenomenally as in like it's like a great thing for anyone. I'm saying phenomenal in that it actually happened, because I do think that this is going to open the door now for some of the other players to return if they decide they want to. Now, there's nothing that's been said about what he has to give back potentially to the Live Tour to get out of his contract. I'm going to assume a lot of that was front loaded in the 100 million. Maybe there was some sort of clawback if he like opted out in the last year. We can't find any public records around that. Trust me, I looked for all sources. Well, here's the other thing. I mean, he earned 46 million playing on the Live Tour. So he got 100 million in like that bonus, and then he made 46 million. So I mean, he made 46 million in 3 years. That's more than he made in 7 years on the PGA Tour. So I mean, dude is paid. Now, here's what he had to give up though in order to come back to the PGA Tour. So he reportedly again didn't have to pay anything back to Live. I have no idea if that's true or not. But the other part of it is that the PGA Tour, he will not be eligible for any FedEx Cup bonus money in 2026. So even if he qualifies for the FedEx Cup playoffs, he doesn't get any of that bonus money if he earns it, right? I think he can make the money, but he can't take the bonus money in 2026. He's also barred from PGA Tour equity shares. Yeah. Now, Amani, this is, I think, the PGA Tour's answer to the Live Tour, because, you know, the PGA Tour players are like, yo, we got to win tournaments in order to make money over here. I could go to live and just get a bag.
Yeah,
Well, then the PGA Tour said, all right, how about this? We'll start giving you guys equity in the PGA Tour enterprise. And, you know, if you win, you get more equity. And then the long-term incentives will sort of create a golden handcuff situation that makes you want to stay on the PGA Tour. But Brooks
smart.
isn't going to be eligible for any of that until 2030, which is kind of a big deal. He also had to commit to a $5 million charitable donation. He'll probably give it to his alma mater, Florida State. I don't know who it's going to be, right?
Mhm.
And then he also won't be eligible for any sponsor exemptions into any of the high profile tournaments this year. He actually has to qualify through his performance. So he is kind of taking a big risk that he's going to come on tour again and perform well.
Okay, now let's talk about his performance. Like, I understand all that, but let's talk about his performance. Now, when he went to the Live Tour, he was hot, right? Like he was one of the
Yeah.
better players in the world.
Oh, yeah.
Then he played well for a couple years, from my understanding, and then now he's kind of cool. Is that
Yeah.
an accurate assessment of his trajectory right now, or is he still hot?
Well, I think there's a couple of things. I mean, he's still a good player, obviously, but like, you know, obviously iron sharpens iron. And if you look at the best players in the world, the best players in the world are on the PGA Tour. They're playing 140 events a year, and you're also playing 4 rounds of golf in those tournaments. And so he still gets to play in the majors. And so I guess the way that you would judge his performance is how well he's performed in the major tournaments, because that has nothing to do with PGA versus Live. Like Live players can play in the majors. He can play in the Masters, the US Open, British Open, and the PGA Championship, I guess. Yeah, technically. So, you know, for him, he still performed pretty well in the majors, but he's not quite killing it the way he
Yeah,
was when he left. I mean, he hasn't
yeah,
won a major and, you know, since he went to the Live Tour.
yeah.
So
Okay.
anyway, I just think it's like really just a really interesting story that, you know, he technically, if he didn't have to pay anything back, you said 86 million. I haven't seen that anywhere.
I saw 84 million, but you know, there's a lot of people. I've done I've done a lot of research. There's a lot of things all over, and I think the fact that the Live Tour is not, um, they're not publicly announcing what he had to do,
Right, right.
which is smart. I I think that the idea of these two tours coming together one day, which probably will never happen,
Never happened.
but I think that what you've gotten from what I've gathered is you have some good players on the Live Tour, you have some good players on the PGA Tour. There are more good players on the PGA Tour than the Live Tour. Is that safe to say?
There are, well, there's stars on both tours, right?
Okay.
Some of the high profile guys left the PGA or the European Tour and went to Live. From top to bottom, there are way better golfers on the PGA Tour.
Yeah.
And
And they
and
play
and
more,
and they
and
play more. And
and
and you
they
got and you got a star like Rory McIlroy, who for me now is like, you know, when I'm watching a PGA Tour event, that's my guy. Like that's my Tiger now. Rory didn't grow up with, you know, money in Ireland. You know, he was just kind of hard knocks kind of story. And he's like an athlete playing golf, which is what I appreciate. You know what I'm
okay.
saying? Like I like
Hmm.
athletes playing golf. Rory's an athlete.
Okay. So what are you
Yeah.
saying about the rest of them?
I mean, a lot of listen, a lot of them are now also athletes because Tiger changed the game.
Okay.
Like Tiger came in and was like, "Yo, watch me with athleticism play this game of golf. You guys been out here smoking cigarettes, riding in golf carts, and I'm going to come out here and be an athlete." And now all these guys now are training like Tiger Woods on the golf course,
Good.
right? I
Good.
mean, look at Brooks Koepka, bro. The dude is jacked, you know, and yeah, he's jacked, bro. He looks like a linebacker. You're hilarious, man.
Okay. Okay.
So anyway, I'm so interested to see how all this kind of shakes out,
Me too.
especially with some of the other players. That was I guess my whole reasoning for wanting to talk about this story, because I think this might kind of open the dam and create the lane for other guys like Dustin Johnson, like Bryson DeChambeau, like John Rahm to say, you know what, guys, all right, we want to come back as well.
There was so much information on this story, and there's so many different ways. And it's funny because I feel like everybody wants to save face.
Yeah,
So there's a lot of people saying, "Oh, this is great." Oh, and it's not like I know business in the business
right.
of sports, and they had the luxury of being able to create their own narrative. And I feel like I'm reading a lot of people saying, "Oh, this is a win-win. This is great."
Yeah.
Now, I would love to talk to somebody from or get the perspective of the Live Tour and what they think. Are they like, well, he wasn't even that good anyway, or I don't know.
No,
I
that's a
don't
big
know.
loss. That's a big loss for the Live Tour because Brooks Koepka was one of the bigger names on that tour. And again, the perception is that Brooks wanted to be back on the PGA Tour. Listen, he says it
Yeah,
was
this
like
whole family thing. He has his
yeah,
family. His wife had, unfortunately had a miscarriage. I get that, and
yeah,
I'm never gonna, question a man's family. And I know
yeah,
that you want to be around your family at all costs, no
of
matter how much
course,
money you're making. So
right,
I totally ride with that. But
yeah.
the skeptic in me is like, okay,
Amani, let's get to our second story. I mean, this one is right in your wheelhouse because it
mm,
deals with, a Big Ten affiliate program in Rutgers University who, there was a story in NewJersey.com, NJ.com last week that essentially said that Rutgers University athletic program lost $78 million in fiscal year 2024-2025.
mm,
And you've come on this Standing on Business podcast and repeatedly said, and I agree with you that Big Ten membership is essentially a license to print money.
yeah.
So explain to me how this program spent $193 million. They had 146 million in revenue. So if you take out subsidies from the Big Ten and student fees and all those things, they lost $78 million. How does that happen, Amani?
That's a great question. And I think that their new athletic director is trying to figure all that out. I feel like it's a situation that um, this is the skeptic in me.
Okay.
The new athletic director is shouting on the mountain on how bad this situation is for them. But I think most athletic programs aren't really there. They're not. They're not there to make money. They're there to kind of act as um, they're a qualifier. Like to be in the Big Ten or to be in the SEC or to be in the ACC, that's a draw because if your team isn't good, you're going to get to see a lot of great teams play. You're going to get to see Ohio State, your Michigan, all they're going to come to your place. All your athletes are going to get to play at the highest level, and every once in a while you're going to be good, and you're going to in some other sports, and you're gonna. It's the college experience. There's no core. There's no. You can't quantify what it means to be in the Big Ten purely by money. You got to look at how the numbers of people that apply to the school and how they go up and down based upon how well the schools do.
Well, let me push back a little bit then, though, because they've been in the Big Ten now for 10 years,
Yeah, and
and
they lost almost $500 million.
they've lost $500 million. So they've lost a $500 million. So everything that you just said, and I agree with you. Like if I'm a kid going to Rutgers and Michigan's coming to town, I'm going to be at that game, or I might apply to Rutgers now because now the sports. I'm going to get Memphis. I mean, I'm going to get Ohio State coming to New Brunswick instead of frickin' some team from the American Conference, right? And by the way, I'm
Temple,
not
you know what I
disparaging
mean?
the American Conference. I'm just saying,
Yeah.
that's the conference they came from. But since then, right, have applications improved because they still found a way over the last 10 years to lose a $500 million cumulatively.
Um, I think that there's a reason why there's a new athletic director, right?
Yeah.
And if you're the new athletic director, you're not going to come in and say, "Oh, everything's great. I'm just going to keep on going." You're going to say,
Yeah.
"Oh my God, things are horrible," but knowing in the background, "Oh, I can easily fix this." So that
Right.
when I do fix it, because if you read it in some of the stories, they're saying, "Yeah, well, they lost this amount of money," but as the Big Ten share gets bigger with
Yeah.
Oregon, with Washington, with UCLA, with USC,
Yeah.
and future teams, the Big Ten needs Rutgers. And maybe they're like, hey, look, Big Ten, do
But
you want the New York City market or should we just go to a different conference?
well, let me ask you this though. But what is the New York City market getting them? Like, nobody in New York cares about Rutgers football, bro. Like, nobody
You're right.
cares. Nobody
You're right.
cames. And I think
But you know who does care?
who does?
The advertisers.
Okay,
Because when you look at the cities, you think Chicago, LA.
but it's not translating into money for the
Yet.
university. 10
But you know what?
years.
But
We
but
have
but
we
but
have a
look at it this way.
10-year
Look at it
sample
this way.
size. Yeah.
Look at it this way. Look at it this way, right? The Big Ten now is making a huge push, and they have gotten the biggest cities in the country, right? And they haven't even scratched what they could possibly be if they were to somehow get some type of foothold in New York City. So they have a sleeping giant in New York and in the
Bro,
tri-state area that they haven't even really expanded upon.
Amani,
So there's
Amani,
more upside. My point is there's more
Amani,
upside
Amani.
than in having Rutgers in there than to not have it in there.
Bro,
As the whole.
you played NFL football in New York City.
Mhm.
Nobody cares about Rutgers, bro. Nobody. They care about the Jets.
Now,
They care about the Giants.
now,
They care about the Knicks. They care
you know
about
what
the
they care about
Rangers.
in New York City?
What's that?
Winners.
Nobody's gonna care. Even if Rutgers is winning, nobody cares, bro. And here's my other
Don't
point.
care.
Here's the other, I think, downside to the Big Ten sort of expanding into some of these major media markets. It's the same issue that they have with Rutgers. There's NFL competition, right? And you look at Northwestern. Northwestern is never going to get traction because everybody there is a Bears fan. Like, nobody cares about Northwestern football. But here's the contrast with the SEC. You go to SEC country. The reason that these schools are well funded, nobody in the SEC has the problem that Rutgers has right now. Nobody. And the reason these schools are well funded is because there's no NFL competition. Who's the NFL competition for Arkansas, right? Who's the NFL competition for Ole Miss and Mississippi State? Like, who's the NFL competition for Alabama? Who's the NFL competition for these SEC schools? That's why their donors are so much more motivated, and the identity of those areas is tied to college football, not NFL football. Rutgers doesn't have an identity in football because everybody's a Giants fan or a Jets fan. Very few Jets fans, but
No, you're 100% right, but that doesn't mean that what is going to happen today is going to happen tomorrow.
we got a 10-year sample size, my guy. And here's the other thing. Like, when you look at
the Big
when,
Ten, but
when
the
you
Big Ten over the last 10 years has like they're on fire right now. There was a
okay,
time when the Big Ten was just kind of like meandering along. They're on fire right now.
okay,
So if there is an opportunity to grow, put it this way:
yeah.
if there's an opportunity to grow in any sport, right, in any conference, you can't tell me that the SEC has more growth potential than does the Big Ten. You can't
Listen,
tell me that.
I'm not an SEC stan. Like, I am not like a SEC guy,
Or
but I
any
will.
conference. Put it this
But
way: any conference,
but
in the country. There's
I
no bigger opportunity where there's more meat left on the bone for growth than any conference there is.
I think the Big
None.
12. I think the Big 12 would want to have a word with you about that. I mean,
Okay,
again,
how are they going to grow? How's the Big 12 going to grow?
they got money, bro. I mean, they got oil money
They
down
all
there.
got money.
No. But my point is, but Rutgers doesn't have money. You know what Rutgers got last year in donations? $10 million from donors to the athletic program. You know what the lowest SEC school got last year in donations? Do you know?
No.
15 million. Vanderbilt. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
15 million. And Rutgers gets 10 million in a major metropolitan area. And again, that's my point. And so when you think about the Big Ten, their strategy is to expand all the way out to the West Coast now, right? With this conference realignment, which doesn't make sense to me. Now you got UCLA in the Big Ten. They're in the same situation that Rutgers is in. I mean, they lost $80 million last year. Now, when you take out, the student fees, subsidies, and all those things, their net operating loss was like $50 million.
But I thought most colleges operate. Most colleges athletic departments don't make money. Like it's not a money making machine. It's more of a propaganda, getting your school's name out there type of thing. And Yeah,
Gross
so
say
I didn't
propaganda.
think that was not a propaganda, but
Yeah,
that
no, I
maybe not the
understand.
right
Front
word,
porch
but
of the
it's more of like a
university. Yeah.
marketing. Yeah, that's what
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, I mean, listen, so if you can, I think the way that Vanderbilt, right? Because I use Vanderbilt as an example. Vanderbilt's not crushing it financially, but they are crushing it financially from a school perspective. It's a private university. And so Vanderbilt sees athletics, to your point, as like maybe the front porch of the university to attract more students, more teachers, gain
yeah.
notoriety for the school.
Hmm.
And so they look at athletics as a net cost to the university, right? So rather than thinking about athletics being running a loss for the university, think of it as the university saying, you know what, this is a cost of marketing, to your point.
Yes.
I think the issue with this Rutgers thing is that the loss is so massive and it continues to grow and it's over 10 years.
Hmm.
And I think that's the challenge that Rutgers has. And so, when we think about how this conference realignment is impacting a university like Rutgers, who's not necessarily crushing it on the football field, and now they got to fly their, women's volleyball team to California
Yeah,
three
I think
times a
they're
year
traveling. That travel budget was around $4 million, and then their
for
food bid budget was around $2 million. So
for
like,
football or for all sports. Because you're
I,
thinking about football. I'm thinking about all sports because they're all Big Ten members. And now
yeah,
I gotta send my 11-person tennis team to freaking, Westwood to play UCLA. I mean, that's expensive, dude. I just, again,
no, it's expensive, and I get you. I get you on that, and I think that most colleges, if you took away football, would operate at a loss, right? And I don't think Rutgers football program, because the assumption that everybody has is that, oh, Rutgers football is just spending money hand over fist willy nilly. That is not the case. They're
yeah,
not. They don't. Their coach doesn't make a significant amount of money.
right,
They don't pay a significant amount of money on their coaching staff. I think $14 million. They
right.
don't spend a significant amount of money paying their players. I think it's around like $4 or $5 million. So it's not
Um,
like this is not a situation where everybody wants to say, hey, look, football is spending all the money. That's not the case. There's a lot of money. There's a lot of money that needs to be spent for a good football program. But Rutgers is not just, they're not willy nilly with the money. I feel like there's other things that they could and should cut because, to cut the football program and to say Rutgers football is being irresponsible with the money that they're getting, I think is short sighted because they probably make more money than they most likely make more money than all the
yeah,
rest of the teams put together. So if
yeah.
you want to talk about like losses, the losses probably come from, you know, the other
No.
teams, not the football team.
So, Amani, I don't think it's a revenue issue, man. I honestly think it's more about expenses because when you look at revenue, and you've talked about this, like being in the Big Ten is like printing money. So the media rights deal for the Big Ten pays Rutgers $60 million a year. So it's not a revenue thing. And it's kind of reminds me of how I talk to my clients in my day job because it's not how much money you make, it's about how much money you spend. And when you look at how much money I think they spend, that is the issue, especially now when you move to a conference like the Big Ten because the expectations for being in the Big Ten are totally different. It's like if you're one of my clients and you buy a house in a nice neighborhood, well, the expectations for how you maintain your lawn and your landscaping totally change. So you're going to spend a lot more money. So you could afford the house, but now you got to send your kids to this elite private school where everybody else is sending their kids. And so there's all this pressure now to keep up with the Joneses, and what most people experience is lifestyle inflation. And I think that's what's happening with Rutgers. Because in order to compete with recruiting in the Big Ten, now you got to upgrade all of your facilities. You got to upgrade your locker room. You got to do things that will convince a kid to not go to Ohio State where they win championships and they got all this nice stuff. You got to convince them now to come to Rutgers. So their expenses increased by 175%. And when you add on the fact that now in this revenue sharing model, right? Now they got to come up with another 22 million bucks to share revenue with players, right? So I just think that the issue is the spending. and the expectations of trying to recruit now in the Big Ten versus the American Conference.
I agree with you on that, but it's also risk reward thing. You could stay in the American Conference and you'll be in the black every year, and you're going to stay stagnant. If you're
Yeah.
Rutgers, you did the right thing. You made the swing. You took a couple lumps, but still, my opinion, there's way more upside. And if they can get their books together, which I think this is a straw man argument by their new general manager. I mean, their new athletic director. She's saying, "Oh, this is how bad it was before. It's always horrible." And then she's going to do some things. She's going to make some changes. And if she cuts too deep, she's like, "Hey, I told you from the beginning, this is our problem." Right. And I get it. It's a great strategy. But at the end of the day, you'd rather be in a situation where if you hit that home run, you're going to make benefits. Now, if you're in the American Conference, or if you're in the, I don't know, they still even have Conference USA?
Yeah, there's Conference USA. Look at you, you Power Five snob.
I mean, I'm sorry. Sorry, man. I mean, I'm not a snob on college football at all. Like, I just am, don't mistake my lack of knowledge to arrogance. Please
Yes.
don't. It's
Yes,
definitely
yes.
not
I
what
got
it
you.
is.
I got you.
But if you're in the
Yeah.
Conference USA and you win Conference USA every year and you're doing great, you still aren't going to make the money that the Big Ten school is making, and you're still not going to get the cachet. You know, if Rutgers has a great season, which they've had in the past, they're going to get a
Yeah.
lot of mileage out of it. They just haven't hit. Their card has not come up yet, and
Yeah.
I feel like this is one of these problems that are, I don't want to say a good problem to have because you never want to lose $500 million, $500 million. But I feel like there's light at the end of the tunnel for this conference, and there's light at the end of the tunnel for Rutgers. They need to find a way to get into New York City. They need to find a way to get the Big Ten to be more of a cohesive college football power. There's room for a big time college program, big time college athletics, and NFL, a good NFL product in one city. It's possible. It's hard to do, but
I
it's
don't.
possible.
No,
There's
no,
enough
no.
people to
I
do
think
it.
it's possible. I think it's possible, but I think the challenge is in the biggest city that has how
Yeah, they
many
got the Jets, the Yankees, the
professional
Mets, the
professional sports teams, like teams that, I
Islanders.
mean, nobody cares there, bro. And again, I picked on UCLA earlier, but they got the same issue, man. You got the Rams, people there are 49ers fans, you got the Dodgers, you got all these things, you got
But everybody
Hollywood, like
knows. But everybody knows in LA,
nobody cares about.
it's a USC town. It is a USC Raiders town.
Yeah, and even, I mean, so you go, they play at the Coliseum too, right?
USC
USC.
plays, yeah, USC plays at Coliseum. UCLA plays at the Rose Bowl.
Yeah, so you go to the Coliseum, man. I mean, what is it seat? 90,000? What? How many people show up to USC football games?
Yeah.
60?
Well, I mean, when they're good,
I mean,
when
honestly,
they were good a couple years back,
yeah.
they rocked the house.
Versus 110,000 at Ohio State, and I think the biggest, the biggest concern is that donor support is just not there for some of these Big Ten programs. And I know you want to say that the Big Ten has a monopoly and all that, but the donor support, the numbers bear it out, bro. If you look at Texas, Texas gets $120 million a
And
year
Texas
athletic donations.
Texas is in with the Cowboys and the Houston Texans, right?
Yeah,
And
yeah,
Texas
exactly.
Tech,
But
right?
it's SEC,
And Texas A&M,
but it's
right?
also, yeah, but it's also SEC
Oh
country.
God!
I mean,
No,
I'm
no,
just telling you,
You're saying
those.
Texas is an SEC country? They just got in about an hour and a half
Okay,
ago. They just got in.
all right, all right.
Texas
Yeah, yeah, yeah. You're
A&M,
right. Touche.
SEC, they just got in about 20 minutes ago.
Yeah, touche. Good point. All right. All right. So Big 12 country. All right. That's why I think but that's also why I think the Big 12 can be an emerging market if they can retain some of these programs like Oklahoma State and like Texas Tech and not lose them to the Big 10 or to the SEC. But hang on a second. Alabama, who has no competition, they get $95 million in athletic donations. Georgia, $85 million. LSU, $65 million. You know what the highest Big Ten team gets? 70 million. Ohio State. I mean, even the creme de la creme program in the Big Ten gets 70 million, which is 50 million less than Texas. Michigan gets 60 million. Penn State gets 50 million. And then you got Rutgers down at the bottom getting $10 million.
It just seems
Right?
so
So,
ridiculous that there's, schools around the country are, they're cutting snap, they're cutting all kinds of stuff, and these football programs are getting ridiculous amounts of money.
yeah.
That's a
So now,
that's a
now
whole
you get
different
into a
story,
like
but
a that's another podcast. And by the way, if you hassle me enough, we'll do
yeah,
that one
yeah, yeah.
too, right? But because I have opinions, but I mean, it's just very, again, I just think this Rutgers thing, I don't know. This will be a great experiment because they were probably where they should have been in the American Conference, right? They kind of got out over their skis a little bit and said, we're going to go to the Big Ten, and we're 10 years into it. And you say there's light at the end of the tunnel. You know why New Yorkers are so depressed? Because the light at the end of the tunnel is New Jersey. I don't know that that's a light, bro. I think that's a train that's coming for them, and I
New
don't think it's
Jersey
going to be
is
good because the challenge is that now with NIL and the expectations around revenue share for them to compete in the Big Ten, it's going to take a whole lot more money than it would have taken for them to compete in the American, and they ain't got the money, bro.
I feel like with Greg Schiano, his first time he came to New to East to New Brunswick, he
Yeah,
had a train of young players that went there, and they were cooking. And that was a program that everybody. This is about when they got in the Big Ten. They had a lot of great players because what they did is they went to the New York City area and like, look, if you want to play college, big time college football, and he closed the borders of New Jersey. There's a lot of good football in New Jersey. High school football in New Jersey is one of the best in the country. Greg
yeah,
Schiano, his first tenure, surrounded it and made it harder for kids to leave New Jersey, and they were a very competitive group. There, they once he left, I think it kind of all of Rutgers kind of took a back seat, especially in the state of New Jersey. And now he's trying to build it back, and he just hasn't done a good a job as he did before in terms of getting recruits from the state of New Jersey.
yeah,
And I don't know if that's going to solve all the problems, but I think putting a better
yeah.
product out there on the field is going to be it's gonna help a lot. I feel like in terms of getting donations.
It's gonna help if they pull an Indiana. I think the whole of New Jersey and New York will rally around Rutgers. I just think they have more of an uphill battle to
Who
getting
would have
there,
ever thought Indiana
and
would get
it
there? Like, who would have ever
yeah,
thought Indiana would be any good?
but Indiana has way more resources in terms of donations from alums than does Rutgers. I mean, I mean, I felt like when I was even in Jersey with the Giants, like Rutgers just felt like a commuter
It
school. And
is.
by the way, that is
It
no
is.
disrespect. That is no disrespect to anybody that went to Rutgers, but it also felt like a lot of people went to an undergraduate school and then they went to Rutgers while they were working in New York City and they got like a
Hmm.
master's degree. And so they don't have that tie to Rutgers like they may have with their
Hmm.
undergraduate university, which is maybe why the donations are just so much lower. I don't know, man. I just don't know that
You're, you're
they easily get their
you're
way out of it.
100% right. Most of the people that went to Rutgers aren't very proud that they went to Rutgers, and so they're almost like,
Okay.
"Oh, yeah, yeah, you know what I mean? They're not like, yeah, I went to Rutgers. Yeah.
Yeah, but the other thing that you said, like it doesn't even necessarily have to be a great product. Like Wisconsin football this past season wasn't amazing, but Wisconsin also still managed to make $4 million this season. Their athletic program is running a $4 million
Hmm.
surplus this past year, right?
So
So
it can
again,
be
I
done.
just think,
It can be done.
yeah,
Rutgers
it
makes
can
made
be
some
done.
mistakes. They have an opportunity if they're a competitive team, make a couple bowl games and all. They can be there. It's just at over the last couple of years they haven't. And I'm not saying that oh it's easy peasy. It's going to take work. And you're right. You have to get out ahead of these expenses which we don't know all the expenses, but since it's a public university, it's the information is way easier to access. But
I heard some stories. I mean, I saw some line items on their expenses like Uber Eats and like just some of the things that they have to do to try to keep up. Like you got recruits coming in town. You got to, I mean, I just feel
and it
like it's,
also, I
I
mean,
mean,
let's just be honest. Like it's not like $1 in Tuscaloosa is not $1 in East Brunswick, New Jersey.
bingo.
So it's
That is
it's
true.
it's a
That is a
lot
fact.
different. So
All right. So let's go to a topic that you know very well, right? The NFL. Obviously, you're the NFL guy. I'm the college
mhm,
football guy. But the big game is
mhm.
this week, right? So we got the Super Bowl. And I want to talk ad revenue because again, I feel like every single year this thing just kind of goes through the roof, right? Every year we hear how much it costs to run a 30-second commercial spot during the Super Bowl. And I just feel like the number just keeps going up, up, and up. Before we get into that, who you got in the game
I got a Seahawks.
and
I just
why?
don't like everybody's talking about Drake May and all this stuff. I mean,
Yeah.
he's looked bad over the last couple weeks. He's
He
threw four
has.
interceptions, four fumbles, all this stuff.
Yeah.
He does make plays to win, and I'm not down on him. I'm just saying, if you look at the trajectory of how he's playing,
Yeah.
they overcame him for the last 2 weeks, right? Are
Yeah.
they going to be
Right.
able to do that against the Seahawks?
They won in spite of
Exactly.
him. Yeah, you're
Now
exactly
Sam
right.
Darnold, on
Yeah.
the other hand, he's been playing pretty well.
He's balling.
So
No, he's a good player. It's just so interesting that this is a rematch of obviously a very well known Super Bowl where the Seahawks should have won. They just hand the ball to beast mode,
oh
right? On the
yeah,
run,
yeah,
say the
yeah,
throw
yeah.
pass, and it gets and it gets picked, right? But I think, it's impossible for me as a fan of football to root for the New England Patriots. I'm just
Yeah.
not there. I even though Drake May is from Charlotte, he's a Charlotte kid. He went to school not too far from,
North
where we
Carolina.
live. Like I'm not rooting for that kid. I mean, I'm rooting for him. I'm just not rooting for the Patriots. But I was rooting for maybe one of the most famous Patriots this past week with respect to the Hall of Fame
Mm,
induction, Bill
hmm.
Belichick. And obviously, we're not going to get into it, but just big level thoughts on Bill Belichick not getting into the Pro Football Hall of Fame on the first ballot.
It doesn't make any sense to me, and it more talks to the validity of what it means to be a Hall of Famer now.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah,
it's just like in
I
the Major
agree.
League Baseball, another kind of different thing. Take your son or daughter, whatever, your kid to Baseball Hall of Fame, and they say, "Hey, Daddy, who's hit the most home runs?" Oh, well, he's not in there. Hey, Daddy, who's the best pitcher? Oh, yeah, well, he's not in here either. Like, what are we doing? Like, is this about the sport or is it about these media personalities getting their pound of flesh because he made their
Yeah.
job harder because he didn't answer the questions like they wanted him to?
Yeah. Now, is it that? It's so because when I first saw it, I was like, "Wait, how is that even possible?" And it was before I even had considered the Spygate narrative and how the allegation of cheating has sort of tarnished his legacy. And I will say these halls of fame have been consistent that when you get caught cheating, you're probably not gonna do well from the Hall of Fame perspective. I guess the question would be: is Tom Brady going to be first ballot then?
I if Tom Brady is not, then what are we doing? Like seriously,
What are we
Strahan
doing?
wasn't a first
But
ballot
but
Hall of
that's what.
Famer, but but uh, Warren Sapp was like
Yeah, that's
I mean,
insane.
look, no
But
disrespect to any of them. They're both Hall of Famers. I'm probably not, but I just have an opinion that I've seen Strahan firsthand his whole career and pretty much his whole
yeah,
career, dominant player more so than, and we've game planned against Warren Sapp, not to take anything away from Warren Sapp. Like he is a phenomenal
yeah,
player, but you know,
yeah,
I was just confused on
yeah. I just
that. And I don't mean to be
again, if
putting Warren
Tom
Sapp against
Brady,
any, but that's just my only reference that I
I
have.
think
Or even Rondé Barber. Like I didn't get that one either. I don't know if he was the first ballot, but I just didn't get that one. But no disrespect to him.
Yeah.
Hey, more power to you. You made it in. Great. But what are we doing?
Yeah, I mean, if I think the litmus test on the Belichick and why he didn't get in would be Tom Brady. If Tom Brady gets in first ballot, then you can't say that the cheating allegations had anything to do with anything because Tom Brady also got accused of cheating twice, right? With Spygate and with,
Deflategate.
Deflategate, right? So, and by the way, I mean, I've come full circle on Tom Brady, bro. Like I used to love Tom Brady, then I became a Tom Brady hater, and now I'm like all in on Tom Brady, bro. I love the
Tom
guy.
Brady is he's one of the best dudes I know, man.
Well, you played with him at Michigan or
Yeah, he
no?
was a freshman when I was a senior.
Okay.
So
Interesting. I always
yeah.
forgot that. Yeah, that's
So
amazing.
then I was my Tom Brady story. I don't know if you heard it already, but like so we win the
No, I
Super
haven't.
Bowl, right? We beat the
Yeah.
Patriots. We walk. I'm me and my best one of my best friends, Tyler Scott, are walking um, from the stadium to the bus to go to our party afterwards. We walk by. Tom Brady gets off the bus, sees me walk by, gets off the bus, stops me, and like gives me this really congratulatory, "Oh my God, I'm so proud of your career." And I'm sitting there looking at him like, this dude's a way better person than I would. I've lost a Super Bowl. And one of my college roommate, if I would have saw him after the Super Bowl, I would have cussed him out.
Yeah. Heck yeah.
But he's like, oh, it was just such a selfless, um, just a good
Yeah.
hearted thing to do that all these
Yeah.
years later, I'll never forget that moment. Another one, Eli Manning, same thing. Like when last I got done playing, he called me up. Nobody called me when the Giants didn't sign me again. But Eli called me up and was like, "Thank you for helping me and this and being."
Wow.
I'm just like, there's so many players that I liked
Yeah.
a lot that when they got done, I didn't say
Yeah.
a word to them. You know what I mean? And that's what I know. I got to be better. You know what I mean? Those are the type of people that make me want to be a better
Yeah.
person. And
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
you'll
Yeah.
never hear me say anything bad about Tom Brady. Never.
That's a great story, man. And I think, for Tom Brady, what I think I've grown to respect about him is that he's the ultimate competitor and where he probably for himself felt secure enough to say to you, "Hey, great game, great job." So he knew he was going to be back there next year.
He didn't go
Right?
back
He's like,
there for like, I want to say 10 years.
yeah, but he's like, "Yo, I'm going to get me
Yeah, it
another
was
one."
'07,
Right.
and then he didn't
And
go from '07 all the way to like 11 or 12. We went back in 11.
yeah,
They lost again.
yeah.
Then they went back in like 12. So it was a long period of time.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, so that's interesting, man. I think Bill Belichick's a first ballot Hall
Absolutely.
of Famer, but what do I know? I'm not a sports writer, and I don't care about Spygate. I mean, I don't think there was anything that was ever actually proven, and
Thing
I
about
don't know. I'm not
the
even going
thing
to
about
get into that.
Spygate is like you and I know we played football. It's not a
Yeah,
game of trick 'em. It's not Madden. You know what I mean? Like
right,
I
right.
remember we played with Ron Stone. Remember Ron Stone?
Oh yeah,
He said, and we was playing. He played with the Cowboys. They had 5 running plays. Stop
yeah.
them.
Stop him.
Exactly.
Yeah, the tush push is coming.
Stop
Stop
it.
the
You
tush
know what I
push.
mean?
And that's what
Yeah,
fans get
yeah,
it
yeah, yeah.
wrong. They don't understand that it's like football. It could be complicated. It could be very easy. You still
Yeah,
have to put the body on the body and make that person quit and submit. And that's what football's all about. It's king of the hill. It's not, ooh, I'm gonna,
yeah,
look over here, bam. It, it
yeah.
it's a sport of nose to nose and who's gonna blink first.
That's exactly right. So, all right, let's get back to this Super Bowl ad revenue, because honestly, we might have to start another podcast where we don't talk sports business, we
Yeah,
just
yeah,
talk
yeah,
sports. Like I think that would be amazing. But so this season for the Super
yeah.
Bowl, right, for this coming Sunday, it is estimated that every 30-second spot is upwards of $10 million. Now, last season it was 8 million. In 2024, it was $7 million. And it's just insane because last season I think Fox had the game, and they had a record ad revenue of $800 million that they raised in ad sales for the Super Bowl last
Wow.
season. Now, NBC has the game this year. They haven't released any official numbers, but that is astonishing,
$800 million for
especially
one
when you
game.
put 800 million for one game, especially when you put in the context that what we talked about last week on how
They're
much the
capped.
players actually get paid. Yeah. So the players are going to get $178 million. I mean, yeah, $176,000, $178,000 for winning this game. And the losing players get
Yeah.
$103,000 if they lose the game, right? So to your point, if I'm a quarterback, I've been making 600,000 a game. Now I'm going to make 178,000 if I win it. And Fox, or I'm sorry, NBC might make upwards of $1 billion, right, in ad sales just for this one game.
One game. And then it's not like
Yeah.
it's like you playing this one game, that's your only shot. There's another Super Bowl next year. Does that mean you're going to be in it? No. So you got to take advantage of the situation while you can.
You know what's interesting about that is that the network gets to keep all that revenue, right? So I think a lot of people probably think, well, the NFL gets a part of this ad revenue. So if NBC is going to make $1 billion in ad sales, NBC gets to keep all that money. They don't like share that with the NFL, and then the NFL then shares it with the players. That's not
How
how it
does the
works. NBC keeps all the money.
So when they buy the game, they just buy the game and say, "You have a Super Bowl, and we're going to run
Well, it's a license. It's a media
it."
rights
Okay.
deal, right? So each network pays a media rights deal for this season, right? And they're contracted out, of course, over the next 10
Mhm.
years probably, but that's all they have to pay, which means if I got the media rights to, the Sunday night games, Sunday night football night in America for NBC, and then I got the Super Bowl, well, there's a number that I have paid the NFL, just a
Yeah.
flat number. Right. And I think what's cool about that is it incentivizes NBC to be able to say, you know what, we're going to crush it in ad sales because this is how we're going to make up that money that we paid for the
Yeah.
media rights deal. But it also, for the NFL, doesn't subject the NFL to the risk of having to sell advertising for the game, because the NFL got their money either way through the media rights.
Yeah.
Right. So, and that media rights deal, I mean, I think they get like 10, what I've seen is like 10 to $11 billion a year the NFL makes from all the
Hmm.
networks for what they
Hmm.
sell, right? So, I'll run it down for you. So, CBS pays 2.1 billion per year, Fox pays 2.2 billion a year, NBC 2 billion a year, ESPN, ABC 2.78 billion, and then Amazon Prime Video 1.1 billion from
For
what
the
I've seen
for the Thursday night game.
per
Hmm.
year. Yeah. And so again, I think it's just fascinating that you have this one single event that generates all these viewers and ad revenue, and the network gets to keep all that money because they've already negotiated their media rights payout to the NFL in
Hmm.
advance. But what I will say is there is 127 million people that watch the Super Bowl
Yeah.
last year. Now, I think again, if we get back to the business of all this, right? I think Apple Music, it does the
Yeah.
halftime show, and this year's halftime show
Yeah.
is Bad Bunny. And by the way, I'm a big time Bad Bunny fan. Like, I love Bad Bunny. I mean, I think his music transcends any language that he's speaking. And people are like, well, we're not going to know what he's saying. You didn't know what Kendrick Lamar was saying last year
You
either.
didn't know what
So
Busta Rhymes was
let's
saying.
be real. Right. You know what I'm saying? Like, so who cares? But I mean, his music is just amazing, I think. And I think it's brilliant what they're doing, because if 127 million people watched the Super Bowl last year, you bring in Bad Bunny for the Super Bowl halftime show, and now all of South Central and, the bottom half of North America are now watching this game because they want to see Bad Bunny perform. There might be 200 million eyeballs on this game with the inclusion of Bad Bunny. I think it is a ratings bonanza for
Yeah.
NBC to have Bad Bunny perform at
I
the
think
Super
it's
Bowl.
unbelievable that they're doing it. They always are thinking outside the box because they have very smart people who realize that this American market is saturated. You have 330 million people, so give or take a few, and you have half of them already watching the game. That means
Yeah.
over half of them already watching the game. That means that where do you grow? How are you going to grow? Can you get it 100%?
Yeah.
That's going to be a lot harder than what it is. But what you can do is start having games in Brazil. You can start having games in Germany. Start having games in Spain because that's the only growth area that this sport can go. And it's a great game. Everybody who sees it and starts to understand it has a different respect for it. They need more exposure all throughout the world. And what better way than to have one of the most popularly one of the most spoken languages in the world to have their superstar have a stage, a big platform. I just at a
Yeah.
halftime show. There's nobody else who can make an impact like him. There's nobody. You can have any country star you
Nobody.
want. Country music doesn't travel as well as
No.
Spanish music. It just doesn't.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I think it's going to be a boon, and so I would imagine. So if it's $10 million per ad on average, I would imagine that the ads just before the halftime show and right after the halftime show are probably at
Yeah.
a premium because of the inclusion of Bad Bunny. So,
I've heard of Bad Bunny and I probably know a lot of his songs, but I have not gone out of my way to kind of familiarize myself with
bro, do yourself a favor, man. Just go to the gym, put Bad Bunny. The album I would recommend for you is DB Terá Más Fotos, DTMF. Put that album on. I promise you, bro. It's like it's
I'm
amazing,
I'm super
amazing
excited
album.
because I love expansion, expanding my mind, expanding my
Yeah,
thoughts. If I just hear the same stuff that I've already heard, that's cool. But like you
right,
got to get bigger. You
right.
constantly got to grow.
100%, man. Well, listen, I mean, that's all I have. I don't have a standing on business moment. I had one for this show for this week, and it's still kind of a developing story. So I'm going to save it for next week. But Amani, any parting shots before we get out of
Oh,
here?
I just want to say congratulations to Shador Sanders for making the Pro Bowl. Um, you can say what
Yeah.
you want about him. He's going to have a PB
Yeah.
behind his name, regardless of whatever
Okay.
happens.
Yeah.
And, you
Yeah.
know, I'm just proud of him. I'm proud of the way that he has taken all this stuff in stride. A lesser human being who's not secure in himself and confident would have crumbled, would have blamed other people. There hasn't been one time where he pointed the finger at somebody else for his failures.
True.
And
Yeah. Is he a Pro Bowler, Amani? Is he a Pro Bowler this year?
he's a Pro Bowler this year, yes.
I mean,
In my
in your
mind,
opinion.
in my mind, I,
Yeah. Don't answer because here's what we're going to do. Like I think a future episode we're going to talk about maybe what needs to happen with the Pro Bowl, but I also want to get into what it means financially for
Mm,
these guys to make the Pro Bowl. And then another thing, this was listener feedback that we got from someone. They wanted us to talk about practice squad players in the NFL and how they make money, and then also how players make that transition to the second act when they retire from football. So I want to talk about that in a future
gotcha.
episode. I'm not going to put you on the spot right now. I'm going to let you keep
Yeah.
standing on business. Make sure y'all keep supporting our podcast. Help us to grow. Again, hit that subscribe button if you're watching this on YouTube. And then if you're watching it on or listening on Apple or Spotify, make sure you hit that follow button, but also share it, rate, review, because it helps other people find us. Amani, this was a blast, man. Standing on Business episode 3 is in
Yeah,
the
I shaved this
books.
week, so don't everybody, telling me I don't shave. I shaved this week, so
What's
my
all that
bad.
gray, man?
No,
Get
I'm
some
getting
just for
old, bro. You got the
man, you just be shaving it off. You got that booty face.
It's all on my
You
back.
got the booty face.
Hey, you know what? I do got the booty face, but you know what? I'm standing on business. Let's go.